Move to this now. AmaZulu King Misuzulu says he has implemented a process that seeks to bring back the control of the Ingonyama Trust from Pretoria. The king says for far too long, government has been making decisions about the land that belongs to the amakhosi, leaving them with no role to play in representing the Ingonyama Trust Board because board members are appointed by the minister. For more on this, we're joined by UKZN Historical Studies lecturer Khuthula Thwala. Mr. Thwala, good to have you on the program this evening. So King Misuzulu has initiated a legal process to amend the Ingonyama Trust Act. From a constitutional perspective, how significant is this move?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Mr. Thwala. Let's speak to the significance of this move.
Thank you so much. Maybe it's important to acknowledge the fact that KwaZulu or Zululand, one would have loved that place to be known as part of what is Africa that fell victim of colonialization. I think King Misuzulu becomes the very king who many people are not aware that is so much learned and is aware of what went down to what became known as KwaZulu-Natal. You and I know that he has been saying many a times that this name of Natal should be done away with. But it's about the control of land, because colonizers would love to take land and then leave people dispossessed of what is a rightful possession of theirs in Zululand, in a form of a land. So it's a simple task of regaining what used to belong to the Zulu people. Yeah. On top of that, the arrangement that formed what is now called Democratic South Africa, it was agreed that at some stage, the Ingonyama Trust would only mean then that everything that used to belong to Zulu people must belong to them. And in essence, what was ever inch of land belonged to the king and managed by the chiefs, and that belongs to him. And he remains the very first one since the dispossessions following the Battle of Sandwana and many things that has happened against the Zulu people. I think for me, as a person who understands or who to have read and understood what land that belongs to African people, Zulu people or Zulu kingdom being the biggest kingdom in Africa should also lead. And I think King Misuzulu should be applauded for leading this particular project.
Right. So with this legal process, the king is also arguing that the current system where the Minister of Land Reform appoints the board resembles a colonial-style arrangement. Is that a fair characterization of how the Ingonyama Trust is structured?
Exactly. You will know that there was someone called Sir Theophilus Shepstein who took the land forcefully and also made sure that those who were called chiefs and kings would submit to him and only control the subjects at the behest of the white people. This is the very king who says, I'm vocal to say then that this used to be my forefathers' land, and he should be applauded. Surely it's a continuation of a colonial project continuing in the 21st century.
So as the sole trustee of the trust, what additional powers would King Misuzulu gain if the proposed amendments are successful?
You do not have to gain anything from what belongs to you, because it used to belong to your forefathers. And you are just a natural inherent of that which your forefathers owned. So there's nothing to gain. You are just having what used to belong to your forefathers. In terms of gaining, I don't think there is nothing to gain except to say then that if there's anything to gain, is that particular land, because each and every part of the world has got land. And those people are not to be asked what they gain in what belongs to them.
Yeah. Mr. Thwala, as we conclude our conversation, the trust administers nearly 3 million hectares of land. What would shifting appointing powers, especially from national government to the monarch, mean for governance and accountability of this land?
I think that's an argument that belongs to the arrangement that falls into the arrangement of what became known as the democratic South Africa. There were so many arguments that have been made. You and I would be aware that it's an argument that somehow was snapped as there was a hype to say then that we want to have a democratic South Africa. But the land issue remained that particular critical aspect that was snapped, and King Misuzulu is saying, let us gain what rightfully belongs to us.
Khuthula Thwala, thank you so much for giving us that perspective. Of course, as King Misuzulu has initiated a legal process to amend the Ingonyama Trust Act.